Nice to meet you. I really like, this sort of
I put on a tie for you today. It's not very often.
Tom, it's great to have you with us. Well, I heard you just arrived in China?
Arrived Sunday evening to Qingdao and then moved on to Shanghai.
Do you also have business over there in Qingdao?
We have actually our world's biggest manufacturing unit in Qingdao. We do, among other things, very advanced boiler solutions for the marine industry and other things. So it's a huge setup for us in Qingdao specifically.
Well, so tell us more about ALFA LAVAL, because it's not like some other retail companies that everybody knows.
Yeah, we are not known to the end consumer normally, but all the products the consumers use are touching our equipment normally. We are basically in the business of bringing sustainable solution to our customers in the food industry, in the energy sector, and in the marine industry. So we have a number of important technologies to help energy efficiency and energy transitions and reduce water consumptions and things like that.
We know that this year marks the 40th anniversary here for ALFA LAVAL in China. But how old is the company?
Well, we spent 100 years practicing before we made it to China.
Let's say back 40 years ago, what was the first production you're selling here in Beijing?
The first was only an office-related thing. Then we established our production in Yanjing and Kunshan and eventually in Qingdao.
For all those 40 years, I can say that ALFA LAVAL actually witnessed how rapidly China has developed. So what impressed you the most in the industry, and how do you keep up with the rapid development of a country like China?
Today, China accounts for approximately 20% of our turnover and 20% of our employees and 20% of our sourcing. The technology development here is extremely rapid, and the determination of China when it comes to the energy transition and other parts of the sustainability agenda is very fast paced. So I think today we are much more both contributing but also learning and taking part in the development of new solutions. So it's going to be a very, very different type of activity for us the next 20 years than in the past.
Now that we're actually sitting here in Lujiazui, Shanghai Tower is not far away. I know that ALFA LAVAL is also a provider and a service provider and also equipment supplier for Shanghai Tower.
Yeah.
So what sort of equipment did you supply to Shanghai Tower?
Our heat transfer solutions are the ones that are used in the major towers of the world, actually. We make sure that cooling and heating of the buildings are optimized from an energy consumption point of view. And if you look at even China's long-term plan for carbon reduction, a significant part of that is based on energy efficiency. And so we need to improve of the existing systems a lot in order to get there.
And also for shipping industry, Magic Adora City, that's become a very popular word now because it had its maiden voyage commercially. What sort of service did you give to that particular ship?
In general, our business in the marine sector is being part of the decarbonization journey. So we're working with the full toolbox for being able to eliminate the exhaust side of the cruise industry, but of course in all of the rest of the global merchant fleet as well.
Not long ago, the King of Sweden and French President actually visited ALFA LAVAL's headquarters.
Yes.
Tell us more about that, and also worldwide, when the whole world is trying to reach net zero, how do you keep your technology up and also align your technology with all your different branches all over the world, including China?
One of the reasons of many was the development between France and Sweden in the nuclear sector, and we have since long been responsible for reactor cooling in all of the French nuclear industry and the global nuclear industry for decades. And so in almost every area, electrification, in hydrogen, in carbon capture, we need infrastructure solutions as a whole. And there is no individual company that can carry it. So what we can do as ALFA LAVAL is we can provide important technology solutions on those issues, but we also need to link it into government programs and public sector programs that are giving a pace and a penetration of these new technologies. And for that reason, I think the development in China is going to be very relevant and probably in the front line of this type of development.
The company actually attended COP28.
Yeah.
So what sort of information did you get from that meeting?
Apart from a lot of side discussions, the most important part in engaging in part of this for us is to read the pace of this change. A couple of years ago, we thought hydrogen would go big quickly. Today, we think hydrogen will grow big slowly. And that affects a lot our investments decision and business decisions along the way. So I think that's one side of it. I think the other side is that we cannot, as a business community, let the politicians stand alone. We need to be in partnership in this, and I think they need to feel their ambitions and their targets in China as well as in other countries, that there is a business community that takes that for real. It's better for us as a business to drive it than to be regulated.
And back here to China, China is trying everything we can to achieve peak carbon emissions by 2030 and also carbon neutrality by 2060.
Yeah.
So what, say, contributions do you think your company can provide to China?
I would first say that I think China will also contribute to us in the sense that China has a way to put muscles behind their 5-year and 10-year and long-term planning, and it provides a certain certainty on how to go forward, and that's a helpful thing for us as we plan for technology and investments and so forth here in China. So I think that's a very good starting point for us. Then it so happens, partly by planning, but maybe also a bit of luck, that whether you do hydrogen or whether you do carbon capture or whether you produce e-fuels or biofuels, our equipment is needed in all of that, or our type of technology is needed in all of that. So we certainly hope to be close, to be engaged, to learn from, but also to contribute to how technically most things can be done, but to have them done economically sustainable, efficiently enough. That's the difficulty in this transition, and that's, I think, maybe where we can help a little bit, be a small tool in the toolbox also for China in this transition.
For all those 40 years that ALFA LAVAL based here in China, say, have you ever done some wrong decisions? Has something really gone wrong that you think your expectations for the industry here in China need to be changed accordingly?
I think we were a little bit late in building, the know-how part here in China, and as this market now is such a big part of what we do, and we do believe that being close to customers is very important in order to drive technology, we were a little bit slow on that side. I think now with test centers and engineering hubs, it's different. I think we are much more balanced, but we still have a little bit of way to go there.
So what is your expectation for China for the next, say, 3 to 5 years?
I think China, of course, will continue to grow and develop, but maybe on a bit more of a mature level, that the way we've seen the Western world go earlier. So we remain to see China as a long-term growth market for us, and we expect to see more of technological leadership and interaction with China compared to the way it was historically.
Along all those years that the company has also developed rapidly here in China, from something office related to a huge clean energy and efficient equipment that you supplied to all those very major and landmark projects here in China. It was a great honor for me to talk to you today, and hopefully I'll see you again sometime 3 and 5 years later, and to have a conversation again to see how the company has gone here in China then.
I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you.